I greet all of you once again, SS2 students. As we are all aware, your CBT is ongoing. You should have known by now that it's a serious business. It forms part of your continuous assessment. You do not tell me, you don't know what that means. So if you have not touched yours, don't see it as a play issue. Visit your notes, check or watch your videos before you go online to touch it. Because whatever you do there will be used to record or as your part of your CA, that's continuous assessment. So whenever you want to take your own, if you have not, I know that you always do well, because in the last CBT, I think all of you got more than 50% of what you're supposed to. You score more than 50%. Read well, watch your video so that you have the things in your head. You prepare yourself before you touch the question. Remember, it is attempt one. You cannot go back when you have finished touching it. So that was for that. In our today's topic, we are looking at, or today's work, we are looking at plantation agriculture in West and East Africa. Plantation agriculture in West and East Africa. At this stage, none of you will tell me you still don't know what to call the four cardinal points. Well, we have the North, the South, the East, and the West. We'll be talking about this. So when you say West Africa, now you should know. We've also discussed the relief of Africa, relief and drainage, where we talked about the highlands in Africa. We listed the highest mountain called Mountain Kilimanjaro in Africa. Then we talked about the Fota Jalon Mountain too. We talked about Atlas Mountain. We talked about Mountain Ego and so many other mountains. With these are seen both in the east and in the west and south of Africa. So we're looking at the southern part, sorry, the western part and the eastern part, the plantation agriculture that is done at both sides. Then the question you will now ask is, what really is this plantation? You now know what agriculture is. Then what really is the plantation agriculture? There are two things now. You now know that I know the west, the east of Africa. What really is the plantation agriculture in these two areas? This is what we want to look at today. You know, in my tradition, I always share the objectives with you. Let us have the objectives shared. That at the end of this lesson, you should be able to, one, define plantation agriculture using such attributes as monoculture. Two, enumerate the crops involved. Three, state the areas of plantation agriculture in West and East agriculture. Four, explain the importance of plantation agriculture. And then lastly, discuss the problems of plantation agriculture and the solutions to the problems. These are things we want to achieve in the course of this lesson. I always share it with you, but the question is, do you sit down at the end of the video that you watched to ask yourself, have I gotten these things? Have I really learned this as it been prescribed or given to me to understand or learn at the end of this lesson? Number one, did I learn that? Can I define plantation agriculture now? That is what you'll be asking yourself. Number two, the next said I should know this. Did I really understand this part? If the answer is no, you play back the video. If you don't have any question, you of course to private chat, tell your teacher. Then they will give you the way you are having a big little challenge. Then you provide solution quickly for you. It shall be well with us. Let us look at the business that brought us. That is the plantation agriculture itself. That's the content. Plantation agriculture. It simply means cultivation of certain crops on a large area of land. That large area of land is called plantation. It doesn't require, remember we talked about intensive agriculture, and in intensive agriculture we said you make use of little small area of land. That is why it is being drained. That is, you plant on it and plant on it, you exploit the land, the fertility of the land. You make use of it almost throughout the year. You continue planting because a small area of land. You could even rotate crop. We talked about crop rotation. You can plant maize, later you plant yam. on the same piece of land. You rotate it. Then this one, it is one crop, monoculture. That is planting of one particular crop. That is what you have there in that objective. Planting of one particular crop. That means mono. If you see this big land area, if it is rubber you are planting here, let it be rubber all through. If it is cocoa, just plant cocoa all through. If it is oil palm, let it be oil palm all through. Remember, this time it is large area of land. When you get there, you see it, you know that this is truly plantation. We can call it cocoa plantation, oil palm plantation, because of the kind of crop that you saw or you are seeing there. That's why that large land area, you don't see one particular certain crop planted there. That's why it is called plantation. That particular area where this thing is planted, this crop is planted, that land area becomes plantation. So the next thing is the features or characteristics. What are the characteristics? What do you see to really know that particular land or crop or particular farmland that you've come to is plantation? That is what we call characteristics of features. What you see there. One is it is monoculture. I've already explained that. The planting of one particular crop, singular one, that is one particular one type of or certain crop. You don't mix it. Don't plant yam and plant cocoa. If it is cocoa, plant cocoa all through. Like you are saying here, this is oil palm, this is cocoa. Then it requires large area of land. I've just said that it's not like the intensive agriculture will make use of small area and so be rotating crop. This one is just large land area, like I've shown to you. Then it mainly owned by government and local companies. Why? Because the machines that are used for mechanization and other things, or to buy insecticides and pesticides for all these things, it's not easy and to manage them. So that's why governments are always being involved, and then local companies. That is why it is not really easy for individuals to own them. It requires large labor force, yes. Unlike subsistence agriculture we discussed that uses family labor, papa, mama, and children just go and do small work there because they do not sell. This one, remember, here they produce many food crops, but here is cash crops. And it is given in large area. The quantity is also large, and they make use of land. So you cannot expect 4 people to work on a very big land area. They may spoil the crops there. They will allow bush to take over, and then pests and other things will come and affect the plantation. Another thing is cash crops are mainly produced, like you are saying here, the cocoa, the rubber, the oil palm, coffee, cotton, and other things. They are the cash crops. You now know the difference between cash crops and food crops. The one being sold to make money are called cash crops. The one being produced to consume, eat, they are the food crops, like the rice, maize. So these ones are mainly cash crop production. Talking about the rubber, the oil palm, the cocoa, and so many others. They are mainly produced or grown or cultivated on that land. Then it is usually perennial in nature. Yes, these cash crops we are talking about, they are perennial crops. That is, you do not grow them today. In the next few months, you say you want to harvest them. No. You could plant oil palm before it will begin to produce for you. Maybe you have lived your life. Your children will not be the one to harvest. It happens. I've told you before, there is an adage in my place that he that plants cola does not eat cola. That particular cola you planted, you don't eat it. It is somebody else that will eat it. You are the one that planted it. Before the cola will start to produce, that person will have lived his life and is gone. The children will not be the one to get. So they are perennial crops that are grown. That's why it's perennial in nature. Another thing we need to look at is favorable factors. What are the factors that really make these things to grow well? We have talked about equatorial climate the other time. We have enough rain. That is where you have good rainfall that favors forest vegetation. That kind of climate is also good. It's the one that favors this so that you now have cash crop production. Another one is nature of relief. Flat plain. That is, we know highlands in Africa and the lowland. Talking about plain, we're talking about lowland. Flat one, that is lowland, favors coffee production in East Africa. then with that is, if you have a highland, then it doesn't favor that coffee production. We're talking about plain now, that is lowland. Then availability of good transport network. If you see this road is a very good road. If you construct this road linking your plantation site or your plantation and then the city, this is a large market, linking this market now and your plantation. When you produce, before you get to the market, you have everything to deliver in the market. If the road is bad, before you get to the market, most of your products have been destroyed somewhere. You have spoiled them because your vehicle will be broken down and many other things. That is what we mean. When you have a good road, yes, it's a good factor. The presence of large market, if you produce, remember it is not meant for family consumption. There are crops that are meant to be sold, cash crops. When you produce them, you don't put them in the house to be eaten. You need to sell them. If there is no big market, what you are producing, nobody will be using them. It requires large market, presence of large market for these products to be marketed or to be sold. These are the factors that affect this kind of agriculture called plantation agriculture. Then we also need to look at another thing is areas where we have it both in the west and in the east over this plantation agriculture. One, in the West Africa, we have cocoa plantation in western Nigeria, Akure, Ibadan. They are good areas where we have cocoa plantation. This is cocoa plantation. As you are seeing here, both at the right and at the left, we have cocoa there. But so Akure is in Nigeria, Ibadan is in Nigeria. They are in southwestern part of Nigeria. That's why it is called Western Nigeria. So we have cocoa plantation very well there. Then rubber plantation in Benin. Benin is in south-south. Oil palm plantation, Benin again, south-south. We have Aba is in Abia State, that is southeast part. This is rubber. This one you are seeing here that is tied to it is the container from which you get the latex. When the water comes, the latex comes, it accumulates here. Then you use it. This is how you get the latex. So these are the containers. These are rubber. This rubber plantation. This cocoa plantation. Then also have Ghana is also in West Africa. Ghana. Kumasi has a cocoa plantation too. Then rubber plantation in Liberia, for a place called Haubel in Liberia. Both Liberia, Ghana, don't forget, then we'll talk about Nigeria too. These areas were picked 3 areas now, about 4 areas in Nigeria, Benin, Aba, Ibadan, and even Akure too. So these areas, they are in western parts of Africa. We call them West Africa in the west. These are areas we have this. It's not every part of the West Africa, we just have this plantation agriculture. Then let us come to the east. In the East Africa, we have tea and tobacco plantation in Kenya, that is east of Africa. Then Uganda, coffee production or plantation. This is coffee plantation. Now you are seeing here. Everything here is coffee, you are seeing here. They are used to make a tea, you know, we call it a coffee tea and so many other. Even the cocoa too, you know how they process them. So these things are both Uganda and Kenya, they are in the east of Africa. They have the coffee production, tea and tobacco plantation in Kenya too. Both of them are in the east. Then Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, they are all in the west of Africa. These are areas, we have them both in the west, in the east of Africa. When we say areas of plantation agriculture. So when they say coffee production in the East Africa, which country there now? It is Uganda, don't forget, all right. In the West, when they say oil palm production, you are talking about Nigeria now. You know, you just mentioned Benin or about Abia State and so many other. So it's in Benin, especially these areas, Benin, Aba, they are the major areas we have it in there. You could have it in other places, but maybe little, but these are the major areas. We have them in both East Africa and West Africa. Next, we need to see is differences between plantation agriculture in the West and in the East. They are both plantation agriculture, as the name implies, but there's still little differences in the practices. both the one we see at in the west and in the east. One, in the west, it is practiced on fertile lowland. Like I've just shown to you, in the unfertile, while in the east, it is practiced on highland. So you don't know the difference between highland and lowland. Another one, management is more efficient in the East Africa than the West Africa. That is, the management there, they are more, when you say more efficient, it could be that it is not corruption that has not come into it, or they have taken the time to go to this to school and study these things. That's why management is more efficient in the East than in the West Africa in terms of plantation agriculture, not government or governing. Please take note. Then in the East Africa, it is dominated by foreigners, not really Africans. But in the West Africa, it is owned by Africans. That is the indigenous of Africa. So we can see the difference too. It is dominated in the East by foreigners, not that is other peoples that come. It could be also one of the reasons the management is more effective there, because they have gotten advanced technology from there, because Africa is not as developed as the western part of the world. Then another thing, in West Africa, colonial masters didn't really encourage plantation agriculture. But in the East Africa, colonial masters, they encourage it well. It's just like something your father has transferred to you. He has done it and he's making you to learn. So you learn it while your father was alive. When he dies, it will not be difficult for you. But those in the West, there is Nigeria, when the colonial master didn't encourage it, so it's after the colonization in the country that people are now doing it. You can see the difference between them. Then we also need to see the importance of areas where we benefit, where a particular place, in a particular place, have this plantation agriculture. What are the benefits? What are the importance? One, cash crops that are grown there, when they are sold, they give a foreign exchange to the country. You know what we mean by that? There are countries that do not have cocoa that we have in Ibadan, in Akure, in Nigeria alone. Two areas are cited, Akure and Ibadan, cocoa plantations, solid ones. There are countries that do not have. So when we say this our own, Nigeria get foreign exchange. Another one is they are centers for tourism. When you go there, you feed your eyes. You just want to see how it is being managed, how it is done. You know what we call tourism. It leads to infrastructural development too. Like you have a plantation in a very typical area and it's owned by government. Government will want to tar road like this and link it to that particular place. So the place will be developed. Light will come, electricity. It is a source of income to the farmers. That is people that are involved in this thing. That's they gain something from there. It provides employment too for many people. Those that come to weed, you remember we said it requires large labor force. Those that you employ to work for you, it is job that they do from there. Each time they come to work there, then you that own it too, that is your job. Then farmers to learn new skills while they do this thing. What you have done yesterday, we want to do it today. You see that you have learned new thing from them. Well, each year you do this plantation activity, you get new skill. Okay, what has happened last year? This is how I now overcome it. Now, next year, you know, you will not fall victim of that particular problem or error again. Another thing leads to development of areas. When we talk about area this time, not just the area. If the area is developed, the country at large too is developed. Like you construct this road to a particular area because you are doing plantation agriculture, that country is also developed. It's not just the area alone. These are areas where we have benefit from this particular activity, or call it method of agriculture. That is plantation agriculture. There are areas will benefit from it. What it is as, or what it yields to the people as good things. That's the benefit or the importance of what you make use of it for. That's what I mean. What you gain from it. These are what we call the benefits or the importance of plantation agriculture. Both in the West and in the East Africa, we have this importance. They were talking about employment, those that work in the West and in the East, yes, they get employment. Talking about infrastructural development at both sides, it is for both the West and the East Africa. Next thing we also want to look at is the problems of plantation agriculture. because you have area where it is good now. But what are the problems you encounter in doing these things? One is lack of skilled labor to manage plantation. If you do not, people go to study how to do these things, but some people will just go there because they have large hectare of land. They want to involve themselves in this job, lack of skilled labor, and then they will have issues with their plantation management. There is easy spread of pests and disease. You can see this now. If this cocoa is produced, about to get matured, these pests, they are fetching on it and they are eating it here. They have turned here to be black, black, black. They are destroying this product. What you have labored for almost a year, just pests will come, some insects will just come, or disease will just destroy almost all of them. It's a problem, both in the West and in the East Africa, where they do this, because it's monoculture. You know that disease outbreak, and once it affects one, it will be spread to the other one. Well, that's why we say, because since it is monoculture, if it is two crops, two different species, what affects cassava may not be what will affect yam. So when cassava is suffering, the yam that is close to it, we have a bit relaxed. That disease may not be transferred to it. But since it is monoculture, what affects one will just be spread across to others. Lack of infrastructure, like bad road, you are seeing here. This is a bad road. This is a truck coming that is carrying products now. Tell me how long it will take this truck to get to the large market where the products will be delivered. You can see the bad road as it's coming. These are problems. The difficulties in acquire large expanse of land. You know that we say it requires large land. One of the characteristics or features, large lands are used. But if you cannot have, that leads us to inadequate capital. If you don't have the big money, how can you buy or get a big plot of land that you will use for it? Then it also leads to reduction of land for town development. When you want a particular land, if it is 4 plots, they are supposed to share it 2 plots for agriculture, then 2 other plots, maybe to build a townhouse there. But because it requires large land, they may not use the whole full plot. Other ones that shall be used for another thing will not be used for it again. That is what we mean by that. So you understand what I am saying. Then we need to look at the solution. They say every problem has its own solution. One of them is loan provision for farmers. Since we say land, inadequate capital to acquire land and other things, to buy even the machines and pesticide and insecticide, government should have to provide a loan for the farmers. Then proper management, like disease outbreak, should be done. You spray or fumigate the plantation each time to stop the outbreak of disease. Another thing is government participation in plantation agriculture. You don't leave it for local companies or individuals, because it's not easy for them to manage. Then provision of road and other infrastructure. Good roads like this should be constructed to link plantations and the market where it will be sold, where the products will be delivered or sold or exported, as the case may be. Good incentive. People that know how to do this job, that are professional, they should be given good money paid so that they will take up the job, so that they can manage it well. Don't just look for poor or cheap labor. You are not looking for professionals, you now look for cheap labor. Because of that, the plantation will begin to suffer. Another thing is individuals. Remember, we said lack of large land. The solution to it now is individual having cooperative society. They come together, they can contribute more so that they can buy big land. Then they manage it together. That is what we mean by that. So when they, because you have little capital, you buy small land. Another one has little, you cannot cooperate, join the money together. Instead of buying small land, different places, you now buy large land and do your plantation there. At the end, what you get, you will know how to share. That's what we mean. Then for the lack of capital too, loan provision will solve that problem when loan is provided for them. So poor management, the incentive to people who know how to manage these things, if you do that, they take up the job, then poor management will be solved. You can see that the solutions now are solving the problems we have talked about earlier. So we need to, this is a large land. like I've told you, if you are planting cocoa, it's your take all, or rubber, let it be rubber all through. Before we call it a day, I want to, in my usual manner too, let us have a recap of what we have said. Remember, we said plantation agriculture is the planting of a certain crop on a large area of land. That area of land is called plantation. And it is always monoculture in our characteristics we looked at, or features that require large area of land and uses large labor force. We've also said that. We also looked at the areas we have this in both West and East Africa, talking about Nigeria. And we cited some areas in Nigeria, Akure cocoa plantation. We talked about Ibadan cocoa plantation. Talked about Benin oil palm. We talked about rubber, Benin and Aba. We also looked at Ghana. We talked and looked at Liberia too. So these are areas we looked at. Then we talked about the East Africa. We cited Uganda too. We talked about coffee plantation in Uganda and so many others. So we looked at the importance of how good it is when you practice this farming, plantation agriculture. We said it gives employment, it gives revenue to both the government, foreign exchange to the government, it leads to infrastructural development. We also looked at some problems like poor management, then inadequate capital. We've also seen lack of large land. Then we proffer solutions too by saying that that inadequate capital, government should provide loan for farmers. Then we talk about that small land that they are having as problem. Farmers should form cooperative society in order to acquire large land. Then we also said there should be good roads be constructed to link the plantation and where the products are being sold or exported, as the case may be. This is what we have talked about today. I am still your geography teacher, Mr. Albert Awoleme. Do well, as I've told you, for your CBT. Do well. I want to keep smiling whenever I'm marking your script, especially this period that we're not seeing facially. You know, it's not easy. I'm missing you. I will say that. I won't hide that. Even your noise, I miss it. You're coming around all the time, I miss it. Your questions and all that, your joke and all that in the class, I miss it too. It shall be well with all of us all. Bye for now. Thank you.